Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you all are fine. So we are going to continue our study that was related to the two-factor theory of emotions, which we were discussing yesterday. And we discussed the sample, we discussed the design method, and today we are going to discuss about the procedure used in this study. Fine. What was the procedure they used? We introduced the levels of the IV and the DVs. We discussed the levels of the IVs and DVs. We discussed that there were three variables of the IVs. So we are going to discuss that in detail today. One of you asked me yesterday as well about that, and I told you we'll discuss this in detail in procedure. So the procedure started this way, that the students were called, and when they entered the laboratory, they were injected with an injection, fine, and that was the injection of ciprofloxacin. Then they categorized them into different groups. The first one was the informed group. Fine, informed ones. What were they informed? Actually, in this category, they were informed about the side effects of the injection they are going to have, and the actual side effects were informed to the participants in this group. Now, what happened basically when they came, they were having a very short brief to every participant. There was a short circular read to them, or you can say the statement was read to them. That is written in your book. That's been a bit lengthy. You can go through that. It is written in page number 56 in under the procedure, and they just told them that it is a test which is going to be administered to check your vision test. It is a vision test, fine. But what happened when they were done with those instructions, then the experimenter came to the room of the participant, where a single participant was sitting, and then they injected, they took the pulse. First of all, they took the pulse of the participant, fine, and then they injected the ciprofloxacin injection to them. Then what happened basically, then after that they were divided. The first one was the ones who were informed. Then the second was the misinformed ones. What are those? Those were the participants basically who were misinformed about the side effects of the injection. And the third one were the ignorant. Fine. What happened, as we discussed yesterday as well, that they were not basically given or administered the injection. They were basically given the saline injection, fine, as a placebo group, fine. And I hope that you all know that what is a placebo group. Those who are not being administered with the independent variable, but they are used to just check or counter check the results with the experimental group. So what happened? The participants either participants were administered either with the adrenaline or the placebo ones, and then they were told about, they were placed into different categories, and they were told that the actual side effects, the actual side effects of the injection was about to start after an hour actually. Then those who were administered with the adrenaline, fine, they were placed into these three groups: informed, misinformed, and the ignorant ones, and the fourth one were the placebo one, as I told you. And then what happened basically, when they were done with that, so they when they were placed in the rooms, they were categorized. Then afterwards, the informed ones were told that they will be having the side effects like shaking of hands, their heart will pound, face gets warm and flushed. Why were they being informed about the side effects? Fine, they were informed about the exact side effects. Why were they informed? As per the two factors theory of emotion, we discussed yesterday as well, that whenever we need to tell, or we need to label our experience or our emotion, basically we need to have an explanation for that. So they wanted to check either the person with the explanation will label the same emotion, or the participants without any prior explanation or any cognitive level, how will they react to the study, or the things or the situation they have, or the symptoms they are feeling at that time. Basically what we discussed yesterday was the whatever you have emotional arousal, fine, you need to label your emotional arousal, and for that you need to have cognitive label. So in the informed ones, we can say we are providing them the cognitive label, that these are the side effects you are going to follow when the injection is administered. So providing them the explanation for the symptoms they are going to feel. The second one was the misinformed ones. Okay, they were basically misinformed about the side effects, uh, like your feet will feel numb, you will feel itching, you'll have slight headache for that after the injection. Why were they misinformed? So they wanted to know that how will they, whatever the actual side effects being informed to the informed ones, how will they label those symptoms they are actually feeling at that time after the administration of the injection. I hope you all are getting what I'm saying, that the informed ones were knowing the exact what they are going to feel. They knew, fine, but they were misinformed that there are different side effects. You might feel itching and all, which were not actually the side effects they are going to feel, or their arousal or the symptoms they are going to feel were not those actually. So they were misinformed about the side effects, just to check what type of explanation they are going to have for their actual symptoms. Then we had the misinformed ones were used as a control group. Fine. This group was used as control group because they were misinformed. Fine. So they wanted to check their label with the actual ones. Then they had the ignorant ones. No side effects. They told them there would be no side effect. Fine. They were told that there would be no side effects, so no explanation for the feelings they'll experience. Zero feelings. They don't have any explanation. They have the explanation, but that is the wrong one. They have the exact explanation what they are going to exactly feel, and they were having no explanation, zero explanation for what they are going to feel after the injection. Then doctor left the room after administering the injection, and according to these situations, they were basically informing me about the side effects, and then the doctor left the room. Then what happened? The experimenter came with this tool, like confederate, who is going to basically create the situation in that particular room in a particular way to check your participants' reaction. Fine. Now, what happened? The stooge entered and introduced another participant. Like the actual participant was feeling that the stooge is an other participant, same as them. Then what happened? They showed both. Actually, they had this feeling in the room that the stooge is also having that injection, and which would take like 10 minutes to be absorbed, and then they will be given a test of vision. Then participants was exposed to one of the conditions. We talked about two conditions yesterday. There were two conditions. The one was euphoria and the second one was anger. Now it was up to the stooge how is going to create that situation, either euphoric or the anger one. Then what happened? Those who were exposed to euphoria, they said, like experimenter said, if you need any anything in the room like pencil, eraser for the test of the vision, you can help yourself. The things are placed in the room. And then he left, and then as soon as the experimenter left the room, Stu started introducing himself, and he tried to make some icebreaker comments and begin his routine. It is happening in the euphoric one. Remember this, fine. In the euphoric one, he's going to start with the icebreaker comments, fine, introducing himself, and then start playing as per his routine. He started playing with the things placed in the room. Then Stooge suggested the participant to join in. The routine was standardized. First of all, you need to remember this thing. We have already discussed in many of the studies that you need to standardize. And I think I have told you yesterday as well that what do we mean by standardize? That the things, the factors you are going to have in the specific study, those are not being changed for every participant. Like they were totally standardized. The explanation, the words he's going to use, the way he's going to behave, the way he's going to put the things, the way he's going to take the things, whatever the behavior he was showing in the room, that was standardized for every participant in the euphoric condition. Then Stooge has the very after this in the standardization, one more thing comes, that the Stooge had no idea that in which condition the participant is going to be, that like which side effects have been informed to him. Either he is in the informed one, misinformed one, or the ignorant one. So that is also another factor for standardizing this research. Fine. So what happened afterwards? When he started his routine, and he started playing with all those things and creating a situation of very happy environment inside the room, a very calm and cool environment, enjoyable environment in the room. The second one was the anger one. Fine. Now what happened when the anger situation came, and what type of behavior he was doing? As the same procedure was followed for the anger situation as well. Like the experimenter entered the room, then he explained as per the, either the informed ones, not misinformed ones, or the ignorant ones instructions. After that, what happened? He left the room. As soon as he left the room, they were told about there was one interpretation, that was that they were informed in the euphoric condition, the participants were informed their injection is going to take 10 minutes to be absorbed in the bloodstream, but in the anger ones, they had to wait for 20 minutes to get the injection absorbed, and then they are going to have that test administered. So the very first factor comes here is the waiting factor. They had to wait for 20 minutes, so more waiting is there in that. Then they had to complete a questionnaire. Now what happened? As soon as they after giving the instruction, like experimenter went, so the Stooge had to create the feeling of anger, and it was done through different comments, like what type of comments he was passing. He had to create the state of anger, and what he was doing, basically he was passing the comments which were like, oh, we had to wait so long. The few of the examples have been given here. It's unfair for them to give you a shot. This really irritates me. The hell with it. I'm not wasting any more time. Like the statements which are going to create the situation of the anger, because definitely the actual participant was waiting over there. So what happened? He created the whole situation or the whole environment of the anger in the class, in the room. When the Stooge was complete, experimenter came, took pulse, and told that then there was one final questionnaire. Okay, and when in both the situation, euphoric or anger, when the Stooge is done with his work, meanwhile you need to know that the observations were made through one-way mirror. I have explained you yesterday as well, that the observation was done. There were two ways to have our dependent variables. The one was the observation and the second one was the self-reporting. Fine. So as soon as the observation was done, and the student left the room or or completed the task, then the experimenter came and he took the pulse again for these participants, and then they were asked to complete a questionnaire which was actually a self report of how did they feel. Fine. And then at the end, like when they were done with this, the observation was done, self-reporting was done, everything was done. Then at the end, I think you all know, basically in this the deception has been done. When they were done with the self-reporting, they were done with the observation and everything. So they debriefed about the deception they have done in the experiment. We know that in the ethical considerations of the experiments, we have discussed it so many times that whenever the deception is compulsory in an experiment, then after the experiment, it's experimenter's duty to explain or debrief the reason of the deception and then let them satisfy when they leave the experiment room or the laboratory. So what happened uh, after this debriefing of the reception? The second thing they did was the medical record checking. Okay, before also they checked the medical record because they had to administer an injection. So the medical record was compulsory, either to check that either the participant feel the symptoms, can bear the symptoms or not. So medical record was checked before as well and afterwards as well, to clarify that the injection was not having any negative symptoms or the effect on the participants. So then basically the medical record was used to check the seriousness of that, like would it be okay with the participants to be administered with this injection or not. So the third thing was which was standardized here was the experienced doctor. Fine. Or the practitioner. Uh, Injection was delivered or administered by an experienced doctor. Fine. So, so that he is an expert person, an expert doctor. So the injection can be administered properly to avoid any seriousness in future. Then in this study to prevent, basically why have they done this, that the standardization has been done, or you can say the deception has been done, that is due to the to make sure that there will be less demand characteristics. Demand characteristics means that if a participant has come to know the purpose of your study or your question which you are going to actually catch in that study, so the participant should start behaving in the same way. Like let's take an example of this, that if a person comes to know that you are going to check the anxiety level in the study, so they are going to behave in the same way. Either they are going to hide the anxiety or they are going to show it in a more way, like just to show that they have more anxiety. So demand characteristics are always there. So just to remove that, they had this standardization in this study. Then we are going to discuss about the hypothesis. Fine. Before moving to the hypothesis, we are going to just look at your book. If you see, so there's a table on page number 56 which is telling you the conditions within the experiment. It will also help you to let you know that in which states or in which conditions the participants were placed for the experiment. And the next one on page number 58, the self-report questionnaires or questions are explained here, or you can say shown here. Then table 2.5 tells you the scores for 7 conditions that will be discussed in the results. That's not related to your procedure method. Now in the hypothesis, the very first hypothesis, the very first question in this was, I hope the procedure is clear to you all. Now we are going to discuss about the hypothesis. Let's look at that. I think there's no need to explain what do we mean by hypothesis. Now, what were the hypotheses in this? They had three questions. Fine. They had three questions. The very first questions or hypothesis say that the state, if a participant is having a specific state of arousal, fine, and they had no explanation for that, for which you don't have any cognitive label or you don't have any explanation, then you label it as per your cognitions available at that time. What does it mean that whenever you have any state of arousal for which you don't have any explanation, so definitely it's clear that it is the ignorant one. So the participant or the person is going to label the cognitions, label the emotion as per the cognitions available to the participant at that specific time. Then the second thing they have explained is when a person has a state of arousal for which he has explanation, fine. Like we know that whatever we are feeling, what is the reason behind for those feelings. So you don't have alternate explanation, but you will say the same as it's been explained to you. So you don't have to explain it on the basis of no alternate explanations. Fine. What you will say? You will say the same. For example, if we talk about this study, we are going to say it is because of the injection. Fine. Because you already have an explanation for the physical arousal you have at that time. And the third question is, when you have a specific state of arousal, for which you have any past emotion, like you have experienced it previously as well. So what will you do? You will only explain emotions if they are in the state of arousal. Fine. What does it mean? It means that if you have experienced something previously and you feel the same, exactly the same, then you will explain it as per the previous explanation or as per the previous cognitive label you have in your mind. So I hope this hypotheses are clear to you people as well. Procedure we have done, first of all, we discussed the background, we discussed the two factors theory of emotion, fine. And then we discussed about the method and procedure, sample, fine. And we explained, today we have discussed about the procedure, like how the participants were placed and in which conditions they were placed, and the questions they were having for the study, the specific study, and what type of questions they had. They had 3 questions for 3 different levels, and I'm going to explain you those levels again. The first one was informed ones, with those who had an explanation for what they are going to feel. The second one was the misinformed ones, those who had explanations but not exactly the same as they are going to feel after the injection. And the third ones which were not having any explanation for what they are going to feel after the administration of the injection. So tomorrow we are going to discuss about the results and a conclusion along with the evaluation of this study. I hope it's clear. Thanks for today's lesson. Thank you so much.